Ethan Miles disappeared without a word. No explanation, no message, no closure. One morning, he simply walked out of Emma Hale's life, the girl who loved him more than anything. She waited for days, then weeks, then years, holding on to questions that never found answers. Eventually, she forced herself to move on, carrying the silent wound he left behind. But destiny has a cruel memory. Years later, Ethan returned to the city for a business deal. Life had changed. He had changed. He told himself Emma probably hated him, or worse, forgotten him. But a single phone call destroyed every illusion. "Are you related to Emma Hale? Please come quickly. She's in the ICU." Ethan ran through the hospital halls with shaking hands, a fear he had never felt before twisting inside his chest. Nothing prepared him for what he saw when he stepped into the ICU. Ethan Miles had spent years burying the parts of his past he didn't want to remember. He had built an empire in New York, climbed the corporate ladder, and lived the kind of life people only dream of, but no amount of success, no amount of polished confidence, could erase the single name that still echoed at the back of his mind. Emma Hale, his first love, his only real love, the girl he left without a single word. It had been 5 years. Yet the memory of her eyes, hurt, hopeful, confused, still haunted him whenever he caught his own reflection. Ethan told himself he had done the right thing. He had believed he wasn't enough for her, that his broken past would only drag her down. So he walked away. No note, no call, nothing. Cowardice disguised as sacrifice. He kept telling himself she moved on, found someone better, built a life without him. He needed to believe that, but life has a way of pulling open closed doors when you least expect it. Ethan returned to his hometown only for a business contract. A quick trip, sign papers, shake hands, leave. That was the plan. He didn't even think about Emma. Didn't allow himself to. The city was the same. Quiet streets, old coffee shops, and memories hiding in every corner. Memories he refused to acknowledge. He stepped outside his hotel, phone buzzing in his hand. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something, instinct, fate, or guilt made him answer. "Hello, is this Ethan Miles?" The voice was urgent. Female. Professional. "Yes, who is this?" "This is St. Martin's Hospital. Are you connected to Emma Hale?" His heart stopped. Everything around him blurred. "Yes," he whispered before he could think. "What happened? Is she okay?" "She was brought into the ICU a few hours ago. We need someone to come immediately." "ICU?" Ethan repeated, stunned. "Why? What happened to her?" "I'm sorry, sir. I can't give details over the phone, but it's serious." The line went dead. For a moment, Ethan didn't move, didn't breathe. Then adrenaline shot through him. He ran. The sliding doors of St. Martin's flew open as Ethan rushed inside, chest heaving, eyes desperate. The antiseptic smell, the quiet hum of machines, the cold air, they all made his skin crawl with a fear he had never felt before. He approached the reception desk. I got a call. Emma Hale, ICU. Where is she?" The nurse glanced at him and immediately recognized the panic on his face. "ICU, 3rd floor, room 312. He didn't wait for anything else. He sprinted toward the elevator, stabbing the button repeatedly. Come on, come on, come on. He couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Why was she here? Was she hurt? Was she alone? Did she call his name? Did she hate him? Worst of all, was he too late? The elevator doors opened, and Ethan bolted out, rushing down the hall. Room 312. He froze outside the door. His hand hovered over the handle, shaking. He had faced billion-dollar deals, hostile investors, ruthless boardrooms, but nothing terrified him like this moment. Facing the girl he abandoned, the girl he never stopped loving. He exhaled shakily and pushed the door open. The room was dim, illuminated only by the soft glow of monitors, the steady beeping of heart. Machines echoed like a warning. And there she was, Emma, pale, fragile, motionless. A breathing tube rested near her mouth, wires running across her arms. Her chest rose and fell faintly. There were faint bruises on her wrist, a bandage on her forehead. Ethan felt his heart shatter. He stepped inside slowly, as if afraid she would disappear if he moved too fast. Emma, his voice cracked. Seeing her like this was a kind of pain he wasn't ready for. She looked smaller than he remembered, so vulnerable, so breakable. Not the girl who used to laugh at his terrible jokes, who used to chase him down the hallway, whose eyes lit up when he walked into a room. No, this was someone who had been hurting for a long time, and he wasn't there. A doctor entered behind him quietly. "You must be Ethan Miles." Ethan didn't take his eyes off her. What happened? Is she going to be okay? The doctor's expression turned grim. She collapsed at work. Severe stress level spike. Her blood pressure dropped dangerously low. But that's not all. Ethan's stomach twisted. Tell me. She's been struggling alone for a long time. Severe emotional stress, malnutrition, exhaustion, and the doctor paused. It appears she didn't list any emergency contacts, except one name she scribbled in her file. Ethan finally looked at him. Whose name? The doctor met his eyes. Yours. Ethan felt like the ground disappeared beneath him. She wrote my name, he whispered. She kept repeating it even before passing out. The doctor said, she wanted you. Those words pierced straight into Ethan's soul. The doctor stepped out, giving him space. Ethan moved closer to her bed. He reached out, hands trembling, and touched her cold fingers. Emma, what happened to you? He whispered, voice breaking. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't I stay? God, I should have never left. Tears filled his eyes, falling onto her hand. You waited for me, he whispered, and I wasn't there. He sank to his knees beside her bed, his forehead touching the back of her hand. I'm here now, Ethan said softly, painfully. I'm not leaving, not again. But as he looked at her still, motionless form, a terrifying thought crept into his mind. Was he too late to say the goodbye he never gave? Ethan sat beside Emma's bed long after the doctor left, unable to pull his eyes away from her. Machines beeped steadily, the only sign that she was still fighting. Her face was too pale, her lips too dry, her body too still. 5 years, and this was how he found her. He swallowed hard, guilt twisting inside him like a blade. When they were young, Emma was always full of life. She used to tease him for being too serious. She used to walk into a room like she carried her own sunlight. But this girl lying in the ICU, she looked like she'd been surviving, not living. Ethan leaned forward and brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. Emma, what happened to you? He whispered. Why didn't anyone help you? And the deeper question that burned inside him, why did she only write his name? A soft knock came at the door. A nurse stepped inside. She held a clipboard and gave Ethan a sympathetic nod. Mr. Miles? Yes, Ethan replied, standing quickly. She hasn't regained consciousness yet, but we need to go over a few things. Ethan stiffened. About her condition. About her life. Her life. The words felt heavy. The nurse lowered her voice. Emma was struggling for a long time. What do you mean? Ethan asked, his throat tightening. She worked multiple jobs, very long hours. Some nights, she didn't eat. Some nights, she barely slept. The stress built up, and she didn't have any support network. No family listed, no friends visiting. Ethan blinked. Family? She had no one. The nurse sighed. None that we know. She lived alone, paid her bills late, came to the hospital twice before for fainting spells. She paused. She refused help every time. Ethan's chest tightened painfully. Is Emma going through all of this alone? Where were the people who should have been there? Why didn't anyone notice? Why didn't he notice? The nurse hesitated before adding the part that nearly broke him. She kept saying someone would come for her. Ethan's voice cracked. Who? The nurse looked at him carefully. You. The word hit him like a punch to the gut. Ethan turned away, jaw clenched. He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve her trust, her hope, her last bit of strength whispered in his name. He pushed a hand through his hair. Can I see her file? The nurse nodded and handed him the clipboard. Ethan scanned through the details, but his eyes stopped at a section that made his breath catch. Emergency contact Ethan Miles, written messily, shaky handwriting, almost as if she wrote it in pain. He swallowed hard, his chest burning. How long has she been struggling like this? He asked quietly. Years, the nurse said. Emma was trying to hold herself together, but she didn't have the strength anymore. Ethan closed his eyes. Years of loneliness, stress, pain, and he was living in luxury, convincing himself that walking away was the right thing. He hated himself in that moment. After the nurse left, Ethan sat back down beside her. He stayed still for a long time, just staring at her sleeping form. Emma, I'm sorry, he whispered. His voice trembled. I'm so sorry. I thought leaving you would protect you. I didn't know it would destroy you. His hands shook as he held hers. You deserved better. You always did. I should have stayed. I should have fought for us. But I ran. I hurt you. The guilt consumed him. He wiped his eyes, frustrated at himself. He wasn't a man who cried. He wasn't a man who broke. But this, seeing Emma like this, cut him deeper than any pain he had ever known. He thought he had lost her years ago. He didn't know he was losing her all over again. Hours passed. Night fell. The hospital lights dimmed, and at 2:14 a.m., Ethan felt a slight movement. Emma's fingers twitched. He straightened immediately. Emma, can you hear me? Her lashes fluttered. Slowly, painfully. Her breathing hitched. Her lips moved. Ethan. His name fell from her mouth like a broken memory. His heart cracked wide open. Yes, it's me. I'm right here, Ethan whispered, leaning close. I'm here. You're okay. You're safe. Emma blinked weakly, her eyes blurry and confused. Why? Why are you here? She whispered, voice hoarse. Ethan almost choked on the answer. I came as soon as I heard. I'm not leaving. Emma closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. You left, she whispered. You left without saying anything. Ethan swallowed hard, guilt twisting inside him like fire. I know, and I've regretted it every day. Emma's breathing hitched. You shouldn't be here. Her voice cracked with pain, emotional, not physical. Ethan shook his head. No, I should have been here all along. She tried to shift, but her body was too weak. Her fingers slipped slightly from his grip. He caught her hand gently. Emma, listen, Ethan said softly. I'm not going anywhere this time. I promise. She stared at him, broken and tired, tears gathering in her eyes. Ethan, I didn't want you to see me like this, she whispered. But I wanted you, he said, voice heavy, to know you were never alone. Not anymore. Emma closed her eyes again, but before she drifted back to sleep, she whispered something that made Ethan freeze. I never told you the truth. His heart dropped. What truth? But she was already unconscious again. Ethan sat back, pulse racing. The truth. What truth had she carried alone for years? He didn't know it yet, but the truth she was about to reveal would change everything. The morning light crept slowly into the ICU, casting soft gold across Emma's pale face. Ethan hadn't slept. He sat in the same chair, eyes fixed on her, afraid that if he looked away, she would slip through his fingers again. He kept replaying her last words. Before she fell unconscious, I never told you the truth. What truth? What had she been carrying alone all these years? His mind spun with possibilities, each one more painful than the last. Did she hate him? Did she move on? Was she in trouble? Was someone hurting her? Nothing prepared him for the real answer. A doctor entered quietly, holding a file. Mr. Miles, she said gently, we need to talk about Emma's condition. Ethan stood immediately. Is she worse? No, she's stable for now. Relief washed through him until he saw the doctor's expression shift. But there are complications. Ethan's heart stopped. What complications? The doctor exhaled slowly, choosing her words carefully. Emma has been under severe emotional and physical strain. Her body is exhausted, but that's not all. Ethan waited, breath lodged in his throat. The doctor finally said it. She wasn't just fainting. She collapsed because she's been carrying a pregnancy alone. The world went silent. Pregnant, Emma, pregnant. His vision blurred for a second. How far along? Ethan managed to whisper. 8.5 months. The breath was knocked out of him. 8 months. 8 months without support. 8 months of struggle. 8 months of her fighting alone. His voice trembled. Does she have someone, a partner? The doctor shook her head. There's no one, she replied softly. No emergency contacts. No close friends. She came alone every time she had pain. She worked until she physically could not anymore. Ethan closed his eyes, breath shaking. She dealt with all of that. Pregnancy, bills, loneliness, fear, and he wasn't there. The doctor placed the chart down. She didn't tell anyone the father's name, but she hesitated, then added, when she came in last time, she whispered something while half-conscious. Ethan looked up sharply. What did she say? She said, he left without goodbye, but this baby, he deserves a life. Ethan's chest cracked open. She was talking about him. She had been talking about their baby. He staggered back, gripping the side of the bed. A father. He was a father and he never knew. She never told him. She protected him from the truth, even if it destroyed her. Why didn't she tell me? Ethan whispered, voice raw. The doctor replied softly. Maybe she thought you didn't want her, or the baby. Ethan felt a tear slip down his cheek. God. She thought he didn't want them. She carried a child alone because he was the reason she felt abandoned. He sank into the chair, head in his hands. I left her once, he choked out, but she never stopped holding on to me, and I didn't even know. Hours later, Emma finally opened her eyes again. Her gaze flickered weakly toward him. You're still here? she whispered. Ethan moved closer instantly. I'm not leaving, not this time. Emma swallowed hard. There was fear in her eyes, deep fear. Ethan, there's something I have to tell you. He nodded slowly, heart pounding. I know. Emma looked down, tears filling her eyes. I didn't want you to see me like this, she whispered. Weak, alone, pregnant. I thought you'd think I was a burden. The same words stabbed him again. A burden. Pregnant. Alone. He took her trembling hand. You were never a burden, he said firmly. Not then, not now, not ever. Emma's lips quivered. I didn't tell you because I was scared, she whispered. You walked away without a goodbye, Ethan. I thought the baby would push you further. Ethan's throat tightened. Emma, he whispered, that baby is mine, isn't it? Her eyes filled instantly with tears. Yes. The world stopped. Everything inside Ethan collapsed and rebuilt itself in the same heartbeat. His voice broke. Emma, why didn't you tell me? She cried quietly, voice shaking. Because the day you left, I realized you didn't want a future with me. I thought the baby would make you hate me. I didn't want to force anything on you. I didn't want to chase after someone who didn't want us. Ethan froze, pain ripping through him. He had hurt her so deeply. She chose silence over hope. He touched her cheek gently. Emma, I left because I thought I wasn't good enough for you. I thought you deserved someone better. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. Emma broke. You left without saying goodbye, she whispered, voice cracking. He leaned in, forehead touching hers. I know, and it was the biggest mistake of my life. Emma squeezed her eyes shut. Before either of them could say more, Emma suddenly tensed. A sharp breath escaped her. Her hand flew to her stomach. Ethan, she gasped. Pain flashing across her face. The baby, something's wrong. Ethan leaped to his feet. The monitors spiked. Emma's breath grew fast and shallow. Nurses rushed inside. Her contractions are accelerating. She's going into labor. What? Ethan's heart hammered. Is she ready? No, she's in distress. We need to move her. Emma cried out as pain hit her again. Ethan grabbed her hand. I'm here. I'm right here. Emma, look at me. Her fingers tightened weakly around his. Don't leave me, she whispered. He bent down, voice shaking. I won't. Not ever again. The medical team pushed him aside as they rushed her toward the operating room. Ethan followed, breathless, terrified. Because this time, he wasn't just fighting for Emma. He was fighting for his family, and he refused to lose them. The hallway outside the operating room echoed with rushing footsteps, the hum of machines, and Ethan's pounding heartbeat. He stood frozen as nurses guided Emma through the double doors, her hand slipping out of his grip at the last second. Sir, you can't enter, a nurse said. He nodded stiffly, even though every instinct screamed to follow her. Emma's last words echoed through his mind. Don't leave me. He pressed his forehead against the cold wall, guilt crushing him like a weight he could barely breathe under. He had left once. He would not lose her because of that mistake. Minutes turned into an hour. An hour turned into 2. Every second felt like punishment. Finally, the door swung open. A doctor stepped out, her expression unreadable. Ethan's stomach dropped. Is Emma okay? He whispered. The doctor took a slow breath. Mr. Miles, the baby was in distress. We had to perform an emergency C-section. Ethan felt all the air leave his lungs, but he managed to choke out. A small, soft cry echoed from inside the room. The doctor's face warmed. Your son is healthy. Son, he had a son. Everything inside him cracked something painful, something healing, something overwhelming. What about Emma? He asked, voice trembling. The doctor hesitated. There were complications. She lost a lot of blood. She's still unconscious. We're trying everything we can. His knees almost buckled. She had survived 8 months alone, but now, when he finally returned, he might lose her. They placed his newborn son in his arms, tiny, warm, fragile. The moment Ethan held him, something irreversible happened. He wasn't just a man anymore. He was a father. The baby's small fingers curled around one of his, gripping with surprising strength. Ethan's voice broke. Hey little guy, I'm your dad, he whispered. I'm sorry I wasn't here. I swear, I'll never miss another moment of your life. The baby blinked up at him, innocent and trusting, the trust he didn't deserve. He kissed the baby's forehead and held him close. Hours later, Ethan sat by Emma's bedside, their son sleeping in his arms. She looked peaceful, too peaceful, top pale. Still, a silence that tore him apart. He reached for her hand. Cold, weak, but still there. He bent forward. Emma, our son is here, he whispered. He's beautiful, he looks like you. No response, tears blurred his vision. Please wake up, he whispered. I know I hurt you. I know I left you without a goodbye, but I'm here now. I'm not going anywhere. Just come back to me. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her fingers twitched. Ethan froze. Emma, he breathed. Her eyelids fluttered. Slowly, painfully, until her eyes opened. Soft, dazed, searching. She saw Ethan. Then she saw the baby in his arms. Tears immediately filled her eyes. Is he okay? She whispered. Ethan laughed through a sob. He's perfect. She reached for her son, trembling. Ethan gently placed the baby into her arms. The moment she held him, she broke quietly, emotionally, as only a mother could. He's ours, she whispered. Ethan sat beside her, cupping her cheek. Emma, I'm sorry, he said, voice raw, for leaving, for everything you went through alone. I should have been here. I should have protected you. I should have protected him. Emma looked up at him, pain and love mixing in her eyes. I thought you didn't want me, she whispered. I thought you didn't want a family. Ethan shook his head fiercely. I walked away because I loved you too much. I wasn't enough for you. I was afraid I'd ruin you. But I see now, walking away was what ruined everything. Emma's tears fell onto the baby's blanket. He leaned his forehead against hers. I'm not leaving again, he whispered, not for a second, not for a lifetime. She closed her eyes, breathing him in. Then stay, she whispered. Stay for him, stay for us. I will, he said, voice unshakably sure. You and our son, you're my whole life now. A nurse entered quietly. Do you want to put a name on the birth certificate? She asked. Ethan and Emma looked at each other. Emma smiled weakly. You choose. Ethan squeezed her hand. No, we choose. Emma looked at her son, her eyes softening. What about Liam? She whispered. Ethan's breath caught. Liam Miles, he repeated. That's perfect. Their son let out a small sound. Almost like approval. Ethan wrapped his arms around both of them. For the first time in years, he felt whole. Not because he fixed the past, but because he finally chose the future. A future with Emma. A future with Liam. A future he would never walk away from again. And this time he stayed. Forever.